I know Derrick Henry's the man and a first ballot Hall of Famer, but just because he's a first ballot Hall of Famer and the man, and it doesn't mean you just ride him to death in his first game back as the running back. To me, that was another spot where I'll look at Vrabel and the Titans and go, no, you dropped the ball. I know he's Derrick Henry, but to think that he was going to be all systems go, hitting on all cylinders, Derrick Henry, the same guy we saw before the injury, that was ridiculous. That to me is where they asked too much of him. You could tell he was not in football shape. There was a lack of explosion from Derrick Henry. Whether it was this run or the other 4th and 1 stop that he had later in the game, there was plays here where you just go, that doesn't look at Derrick Henry. And then what confirmed it is when you saw Derek Foreman get the ball, you went, oh man, does he have 3 rockets up his ass right here? I mean, he was in a different gear because he's been playing football and been in shape that way. So that was one thing I thought that I didn't like about the Titans' approach either. Rode Derrick Henry too hard. You agree with that, Mike, or not?
Well, yeah, I mean, I hate to say it because we thought he'd come back, he'd be as good as ever, but you're right, with that much time off, even though he's fresh and he's not as beaten up, it takes you a little while to get back to where you need to be.
Yes.
Maybe in high, and then they got the bye week. Maybe it would have been better for them to not get the bye week.
And
We're
play
back to that
and get
theme
him in
again,
shape.
And
right?
play and get him in shape and get him ready for the next round.
Yeah.
Deontay Foreman had 4 carries for 66 yards. Derrick Henry had 20 for 62.
It says it all.
That's amazing.
Yes, it says it all. And again, I understand Derrick Henry's your guy and you want to make it work. But I thought there was a few runs where I went, there's a little meat left on that bone. And Derrick Henry, for the fact because he hasn't played in 8 or 10 weeks, he just couldn't take advantage of all of it, and that was there to be had. I mean, you hear again. I don't, I'm not sitting here and trying to say I'm like the greatest GM or player evaluator ever, but that looks like a different gear running through the line of scrimmage for Foreman compared to Derrick Henry. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that fact, even as fans, guys that I'm ex-player. We think, hey, he's a superstar. He'll come back and he'll be awesome. No, you got to get in shape and get used to playing football again. And I think we saw that from Henry.
And here's the challenge for any coaching staff, to have people up in the booth, not at field level, people who are up in that booth, and they're up in that booth for a reason. They're seeing it all in that fashion, and you need to have somebody who's empowered to get in someone's ear and say, hey, Foreman's the
guy. He's got juice, so you can see it. Yeah,
Foreman's the guy.
Right.
We got to ride Foreman. You got to do that. You got to have people who are willing to say it, people who have the ability to say it, people who feel like they can say it and will be listened to, because that's what needed to be done. That's a great point. One last thing before we break. We showed you the 2-point conversion that was failed. Folks, it wouldn't have made the game 17-16 at the very end. We need to accept the fact that things that happen in the first half of a game change the complexion going forward. And if they had taken the 1 after the penalty on the Bengals and moved it from the 2 to the 1, and they got cute and they went for 2, if they had just gone for 1 and it had been 7-6, it wouldn't have been 17-16 at the very end of the game. And they would have been killing the clock for the win. No, everything changes based on whether it's a tie, whether someone's ahead, whether someone's behind. It changes everything, Chris. You got to go back to that moment and replay the entire game.
No, exactly right. I mean, exactly. For the same reason everybody goes, we got to go for 2 now because we know what we need to get as the game goes forward. It's the same thing. Yes. The Bengals would have gone for 2 to go up by 7. At some point, something would have changed. There's too many things. Yes, you can't look at it that way and think the outcome would have just gone status quo from that point on.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.